Today we're going to be painting a beautiful waterfall scene, and what you need is a cup of water with your brushes in there, a towel paper, your palette, and with regards to the paints, I always use our three primary colors, which is yellow, red, and blue, and then also we add white and black. So I'm going to start off with a big brush. I've already wetted and dried it on my towel paper, and I'm now going to start with the water, and as you can see in the reference photo, that's like the bottom quarter only. So I'm going to grab some blue. It does look a little bit like a grey blue, but remember you can always change your colors to suit you. But I'm going to add a tiny bit of black in here with a touch of white, and we're going to start painting the bottom quarter. So I'd say up to about there, be perfect. If this is your first time, remember painting is always created in layers. So we build on a painting, you don't get the effect that you want in the first moment. It does take some time and some layers to get where you want to be, but that's the fun of it. Okay, we'll add some detail a little later. I just want us to, the first goal is to literally cover the canvas. I'm going to take some black. I've got some black on the sides here. I don't always like just the plain black, but we will lighten it up a little later. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some blue, a little bit of white I've added in there, and I'm just, while that black is wet, going to sort of blend that blue in. Then I just grabbed some regular blue and I'm just bringing that in. Going over the black with my last bit of blue on my brush. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause and go back. Alright, so I quite like the effect that I've got here. I'm going to do it on the other side. So some black. This thing is making a noise. And then I'm just going to add in my blue. Okay, so you want to work quite quick here because we're going to be doing some blending, and blending works the best when the paint is wet. You know, all layers, the black, the blue, all of the layers should be wet. Okay, now I'm just going to cover up the center, just regular blue. I haven't washed my brush. I've got a bit of black in there, but it does add to the effect, so don't worry about that. Okay, so we're just covering it everywhere. Vertical strokes, so up and down. We're not too worried about that line because we're going to have some splashing water there. Just up and down with the blue. Okay, I just want to make this black a little darker, so with the same brush I've just picked up some black paint. And I want it to fade into the blue. I don't want it to stop abruptly. I want it to fade into the blue. And then this side as well. Let's make sure that it's blending everywhere. Okay, now while it's still wet, we're going to go ahead and add in some of that white. I think we should wash our brush off to make sure that our white is going to make a beautiful light blue. So I just pick up the white just like that, and I'm now going to blend it into that blue of mine. Doesn't that look just beautiful already? So excited. Okay, so we do want a little more crisp white, so that means just laying down the paint and really hardly blending it. You don't really want to blend it too much. And you're just going to sort of play with it until you get the effect that you're happy with. Like that. It's mostly in the middle, in the center. There's not really much on the sides. The sides are the darker colors. In actual fact, I'm just going to mix a bit of blue with that last bit of white that I had on my brush and just take it over to the sides here. I think I'm going to regret that. I do like that black. So I'm just wiping off my brush, wiping off the excess paint, grabbing some more black and just here and there going over it just to keep it dark. To add some definition. Got a nice crisp line in there as well. That is something you can add in if you'd like. Soften it up a bit. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. You guys could definitely add in. It does look like the reference photo has a tinge of green. Let me grab a bit of yellow. See if I don't know if I'm gonna like that. Okay, so you can play around and you can add in different colors if you'd like. But I think I'm quite happy with it like that. All right, I want to do the water at the bottom and just neaten it up, and then we're going to do the splashing water at the end of the waterfall. Okay, so this I'm just applying in horizontal lines, going from left to right, just so that it also gives the effect or idea of water. So just plain blue that I've picked up and just making these lines with it. Okay, and then if you look closely to the reference photo, there's a couple of different colors in there. There's some light gray, there's light blue, and there's dark blue. So I'm just going to go ahead and make some of those colors, starting with the gray. I'm going to put that over here. You do have a little bit of white as well. And then almost looks like there's a bit of a purple. So I'm mixing purple, which is blue and red. And I'm just going to apply that in the back there. Still using my big brush, but if you feel more comfortable going over to a small brush, you definitely can. Okay, I think I'm going to go over to a medium brush. Just this little filler over here. Okay, and just grabbing more blue. Again, here you're going to play with the colors and just add them in according to what you like. Adding in a bit of white. Okay. All right, I think before we do the foam of the waterfall, let's do some rocks. So over here we have a rock, and remember, a rock is never a straight line, it's a little bumpy, and then it goes off kind of sharp. And you can just paint it in. I'm doing this with just black paint. With the rock, we might need to give it another coat, that's okay. We have another one here. Okay, and your rock doesn't have to be perfect or look exactly like mine. You can make it a little bit different. Then we have a rock in the water over here. And then we have another one toward the back here. Our mist might actually go over it. I think that's a bit too close. Let's see if I can. Normally, if you're quick enough, you can wipe a mistake away. Otherwise, it's a happy little accident and you've got to make it part of your painting. But that's not a train smash. That's normally it works out really well. I think the foam is going to go over this one, but it's fine. We can always just paint it in again. Okay, but that just gives you an idea of where what is. And then we'll give these rocks another coat as soon as they dry. And maybe add in some white. Okay, so we're going to do the foam now. I'm going to use my big brush for this, but if you feel more comfortable with a smaller brush, you can definitely use a smaller brush. So the secret with the foam is that you've got to, it's a dry brush technique, so you've got to make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush. And that it is a little wet. Now acrylic paint doesn't like a lot of wet paint, so just be careful you don't add too much. Rather try it out and adjust accordingly. Okay, so let's see, and then we're going to just sort of do that. Got too much water on here, I feel like. We're going to give this a couple of layers as well. So you want to make sure you've hardly got any water on your brush. Paint and water basically. There's very little on here. Okay, and it's sort of like you're just dabbing it. This is our base coat. It will get darker. Okay, let me grab white. And then, so I grab the white paint and then I still wipe off the excess on my towel paper. And now I'm just going in with different dabs. You could even use your finger here and there just to sort of soften it out. Because it's the spraying of the waterfall, you don't want any harsh lines or unrealistic lines. We want it to look natural. And it's really smooth at the bottom here. So you're going to be kind of working in circular motions. This paint's still wet, so my spray is now like a grey color. It's fine, we'll go over it again. So I've just picked up some white paint again, and then I'm going to wipe off the excess on my towel paper and then put down and spread on the canvas. Okay, some areas you want it to come out a little more than in other areas. You definitely don't want it to look the same, so you don't want it all to be sort of in a line. So you're going to take some of the mist up a little further in places, and in other places not that far. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and then we'll go in with a second coat just to brighten up some of the areas. For now, we can just give our little rocks a second layer. So I've got a clean dry brush, and I'm just dipping it in my black paint and just following the same shape that I have and painting it. Okay, and then we don't forget to give our rock a little bit of a shadow. So you're just going to try and sort of paint it upside down in the water. I haven't really picked up any paint for this. I try and use very little paint for the reflection. And then that way, and then we'll add some whites just now, which will really make it look like a reflection. Okay, right, let's see if I can darken this up a little bit more. I'm going to be adding a little bit of white, little bits of white, just to give the rock sort of a shape. In this case, it is really important to keep in mind less is more. So I've just picked up a little bit of white with the same brush so that black can mix in a bit, so we don't have the white is not too harsh. And with these things, did I say it now? I think I said it. Less is more. Okay, just yeah, just tells you how important it is. So it's literally just a couple of marks here and there, just to, it's sort of where the light catches the rock, and then it just brings it to life. That's too much. Okay, if you have too much white, don't stress. You can always go over with some black paint and just make it a bit subtle, or take away where you feel you've got too much. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to move on to this one in the front here. And I try also to sort of work in the shape, not in the shape, sorry, the direction that the rock is going in. So, you know, if it has these peaks, then it's more sort of vertical strokes than it would be horizontal strokes. I hope that makes sense. So like this piece is flat, so I have a horizontal stroke, but then it slants down, so there are vertical strokes then. And then you can also just fade the highlight into the rock, just giving the illusion that the light is touching here and there and sort of everywhere, but not 100% everywhere. I do, because these are in front, so we can go a bit lighter, not too light though. You can have a crisp white like that. Helps it stand out a bit more. Show the direction of the rock. There we go, and we have a beautiful rock. So here the tree sort of takes over this rock, so I'm not going to do much. I think I just want a few highlights here, but this we can always change a little bit later, which we might. It's too much. Let me grab some black and just. All right, so I'm really happy with that. I think let's give this water a bit of love and attention. I'm going to go with a few white strokes. Just shows a bit of movement in the water. But again, here you also don't want too much. And if you feel like the white is a bit bright, you can go ahead and mix a very light blue, which is what I'm going to do here. It's also nice to have the variation, you know, that not everything is just white, that there is a bit of blue as well, or grey. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with my dark blue, just blue as is. Just cover up a few of these really light lines. And you guys can start seeing how nicely it's coming together now, hopefully. Okay, just be careful not to overwork the water. That does happen. I'm just going to bring in my last bit of grey and then I'm going to leave it alone till the end. I think, you know, at the end, if I really feel like it, we can do a little more. Just want that grey. See, there's quite a bit of grey coming through in the reference photo. Again, guys, you don't have to add this in. It's really up to you what kinds of colors you want in your water. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it and I'm going to grab my big brush, dry it off nicely because we want to go in to that waterfall spray again. I think I need a towel paper. Okay, make sure your brush is really nice and dry. I'm going to grab some white paint and just also wipe off the excess on the towel paper. And then especially here in the middle, it's light. So very softly, almost just like you are tickling the canvas with a feather, you're going to bring in that white mist. Okay, make sure you have some gaps in between so you can sort of see the waterfall passing behind the mist. A little bit of a lighter mist here. So there's got to be so little paint on your brush that you get this misty effect. If you're not getting the misty effect, either your brush is too wet or you got way too much paint on. Okay, now I'm going to mix just a light blue. So that's my blue and white. And I'm going to wipe off the excess. Make sure you wipe off quite a bit. And then just here and there, also in the mist. So you got some blue mist. And then that grey that I got earlier is actually working really well like that. Okay, if you do feel like that's too much blue, you can always go back in with some white. Just cover up most of it, which I think I'm going to do. So just have a bit of blue coming through in the background. So I'm just grabbing white, wiping it off, saturating the brush, and very softly bringing in some white over the blue. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. You can always come back later and fix something that might not look right to you. What I do want to do is right here against the mist, it's a little bit darker, the water. So I'm going to go in with just my blue and adding a tiny bit of black. And I'm just going to darken up the back here. I want to try and do it subtly so it looks natural. And you can even add that purpley color, nice dark purple. Okay, I do now feel like the water has come forward and is in front of my mist, which I don't want. So just cleaned off my brush, wiping it dry, nice and dry. I'm going to grab some more of that white, wipe it off. So there's just a little bit on my brush. And, oh, that's too much. And then just, especially on the line, okay, it should be really soft, your motion and your application. Come on, you're not working with me. Okay, so you're basically just softening up that line at the back there, the water. I think it works really well too. Okay, so that looks a bit better. I'm happy with that. Right, so now it's time for a tree. So I know many of you are nervous to do your tree, but don't be. Just do it, go in with it. I think just the most important tip that I can give you here is rather work really thin, and then you can always work thicker or come in and make it thicker. I do, now that I look at it from a distance, I feel like I need a bit more white there in my waterfall. I almost said watermelon, waterfall. So just adding a little bit of white and just very gently bringing in some more crisp white. Okay, so you want to be happy with your waterfall before we start the tree, because once we start the tree, it's going to be very difficult to go in behind the tree. Okay, so I'm going to use black, and I'm going to jump in to the tree. And again, don't worry if it's not perfect. Just embrace what you put down. Make the best of it. Okay, so it does curve out a little bit. And then it comes back this side. This is actually comes back quite a lot more. Let's see if I have time to rub it off. Okay, it won't look exactly the same, but I'm quite happy with that. We're going to make it work. It does have a branch. Comes out a little bit this side. It's a bit close to that side, but it's all right. And then we got another branch coming out here. Remember, work really thin, and then you can always go thicker than what you work too thick, and then you battle to make it thin again. Okay, so this is just the basics. We'll define and work on it still. Got a little branch coming out there. And then a cut off one growing here. Okay, so once you've got your basic idea of your tree, you can start to give it a second coat, shape it a little better. And then with branches, the closer they are to the center of the tree, the little bit thicker they are. So you'll make that a bit thicker. And then the further away they are from the main stem, the thinner they become. Okay, so we're not too worried about the roots at the moment. Now it's all about getting the shape. If you want to make something thicker, I suggest that you start in the middle of the object and you slightly work your way towards the outside. Okay, and this branch can be a little thicker at the bottom and thinner as it moves outward. Just doing this in plain black paint. We'll add in the highlights a little later. Hope your trees are going well. The nice thing about trees is if you ever have a part of a tree that you don't like, you can cover it up with the leaves, which I'll show you. Okay, you might need to come in just now and just make it a bit darker. Yeah, I think that looks good. I think we are ready to bring in the leaves. Okay, and for that I'm going to use, I think let's try the square brush. You can use any brush you're comfortable with, but I have my square brush, so I actually wanted to use my big brush, but I'm going to see how the square brush goes. Okay, so we've got purple leaves, but again, you can improvise and you can make them orange or green or really any color you'd like. So I'm going to mix a purple, that's my red and blue, mixed together. If your purple's looking a bit red, you need more blue, and if it's looking too blue, you need more red. And then I'm first going to do them dark, and then I'll come in with the lighter purple. Okay, so they're sort of flat at the bottom, and then they have sort of like a little bush on the top. But again, your bush doesn't need to look like this. It can look different. You can make it different. I actually need another branch here. Let's fill in this one and then see. And then don't make your little bushes too dense. You want to see some of the waterfall coming through in the back there. Okay, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Don't really want to cover up the waterfall too much, so that's why I'm thinking of just keeping what I have. Okay, and it's fine if you go over the branches. You can always define them a little later if you wish to do so. Oopsie, went into black, which I want to do, but just not right now. So here we just wing it and sort of put some bushes in, step back, see if it looks good, and then change it accordingly. This can actually go in the front of that branch. And then we've got a couple here. Okay, and don't forget this little one here at the bottom. I almost forgot about it. So I also have a little bit of a bush here. Alright, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to, with the same brush, I'm not cleaning it off, grab some black. This purple is relatively dark, but just want a bit of a darker element at the bottom of the little bushes and sort of form like a shadow. And then we've got some here and there. Okay, and now for the fun parts. Going in with a lighter purple. So you're still going to mix up the same purple or orange, whatever color you used. And this time you're going to add in a little bit of white, because with my dark color I didn't add any white in. So I'm not going to add in white. And this is just going to be an absolute game changer. I hope you're ready. Okay, and you don't want to completely cover up the purple that you have. Remember, you can always go in again if you've realized you've got too much light in your little bushes. Which I think I'm definitely going to do. But let's apply the light purple first, and then we can work on it from there. So again, with this part of the trees, it's going to be playing with the light and dark, and just applying and seeing what you like and changing, and yeah, until you get the effect that you like. This feels a bit lighter. Let's lighten this up a bit as well. So here I've just added more white in. I'm also going to do some just crisp white as well. Okay, I'm adding more white to this purple. The more shades you have in your branch or your bushes, basically, sort of the more dimension they have. So you do need that light, sort of a medium light color, and then maybe 2 variations of a dark color. Okay, then a little more red and blue, and as you can see, mine doesn't look like the reference photo, and that's okay. We're all different, we all have a different style, so it's definitely going to look different. They won't all look the same. So I'm just coming in with the dark purple now again, and sort of defining the little leaf bush a little more, bringing in some dark purple every here and there. And here it's important to sort of stand away from your painting and see if you like what's happening, and that's often where you see you know, places where you want to change something. And it's normally something small, it's not a big thing that you need to change. Okay, so there I just felt like it was too much of a bush, so I'm just grabbing some like light blue and almost cutting into the shape, just to make it seem not so dense. You don't have to do that. Yours might not require it, so that's perfectly fine. I've got some purple there, so just want to cover that up as well. Okay, I think for now I'm just going to leave my tree as is, and I will come back, although I just quickly want to try something. And then we'll define the tree and the roots, and then we'll come back. So you guys could also use earbuds for the tree here. It all depends on the look that you're going for. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to use my medium pointy brush, which is this one here. I think let me get some new towel paper. Okay, so we're just going to highlight the tree every here and there. So I'm going to mix like a grayish, a darkish gray, not too dark, but it's definitely not too light either. And you're going to be placing it on the black tree, so it's going to seem lighter than it is. Okay, and I'm just going to put a little reflective light here and there. Alrighty, so we are nearly done. Now it's just finishing final little details. Just these little flowers on the rock. It's adding a bit of a lighter purple as well. Okay, and then I do feel like we need a bit more detail here, and all it is really, like I said, it's small changes. So from that root, it goes up into the tree, and then over here, I've got a bit of a dark line there, and then that also gets carried into the tree trunk, and that just makes it stand out a little more. And then this middle one we can just break up this light color a little bit, and it's all about balancing the light and dark. So we can just define this one a little more. And on the top of that one. And you can see that makes it like just stand out a bit more. If it's too much for you, you can just always go in with the darker color and soften it up a bit. Okay, but I'm happy with that. And then we have a couple of little, what shall we call them? Little light bugs. So I'm just mixing some white and yellow. They do actually look like butterflies though. So I'm going to try this. Let's see. Okay, so it's almost like a little times sign, but you just give it a little bit more body. You can use a really small brush for this if you feel it's going to work better for you. I think it might. And then we have a little dot floating around there. So I'm just basically softening it up with my finger. And up here. And then we have a tiny little one. So I think the main secret is the little wings at the bottom are shorter than the wings at the top. And then we have another little light there. You guys can make these as defined or as soft as you like. Sometimes it's nice just to have like a little illusion. Just brightening them up with a little bit of yellow. Okay guys, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think the last thing I just want to do is just lighten up some of my little tree bushes, leaves, just here and there. So you can do that if you'd like to. Any changes you feel will just enhance the painting a little bit, you can. Definitely want to add in a little bit of purple here at the bottom, but I think I'm going to go for a darker purple. Bit of a reflection there. And then my last bits of white, or not white, but like really light purple. And you can add in anywhere else where you feel you'd like to. Maybe I want to just highlight this also a little more. Oh, that's too much. That's too much paint on my brush. Just enhancing that mist a little bit. Okay, and that's it. I think I'm going to end off there. Don't forget to sign your painting, and please do share it with me. I really hope you enjoyed that, and also let me know what else you'd like to paint. Thanks, bye.